Hey, this is Justin Chamness, and this is the Real Estate Wholesalers Club Shut Up Money show on Saturday, where we talk about real estate wholesaling, you getting freedom, you getting a shut up money check. That's that first deal paycheck. That's that first entrepreneurial paycheck. The first one that wasn't tied to the clock, the where you check in and check out. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you might even have nightmares out there of the way that machine sounds. I know I have. That was one of the scariest sounds ever for me at one point in time. And if you're out there and you feel that way, believe me, you are not alone. I want to welcome you to the show today. We have a super special thing for you today, guys. And I'm so excited about it. I got butterflies in my stomach. I promise you that. I really genuinely do. And what I have for you today is a very special guest. If you want to join us in the Zoom room, please feel free to do so at www.zoomjustin.com. That's www.zoomjustin.com. Otherwise, you're probably watching us on the Facebook group, Real Estate Wholesalers Club, or Real Estate Wholesalers Club YouTube or Periscope. You can find us at realestatewholesalersclub.com. All right, guys, let's jump right into today's guest. I'm going to do my best at introducing this gentleman. It's a tough job. Very difficult. If I were to read his entire resume here, it would probably take a good 10 minutes. We have a lot of great guests on the Shut Up Money show on Saturdays where we talk about real estate, but today we have a really super special guest. This guest is a writer, a researcher, a consultant, entrepreneur, and lecturer. Now, I'm just going to give you the highlights. He's the program director for the ICT Entrepreneurship Master's Program at KTH, as well as program director for the prestigious Scandinavian International Management Institute. He is also a member of the Swedish Venture Capital and Private Equity Association, as well as the Danish Venture Capital and Private Equity Association. He's the past director of research for the Association of Electronic Auction Industry and director of research for the Net.America Foundation. In 1997, he received the National Federation of Business Dissertation Award. He holds an MBA in entrepreneurial management from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, an MBA in organizational management, and a doctorate in entrepreneurship and corporate strategy from Rutgers University. He also earned a second PhD in marketing from Sweden's northernmost university, and I'm going to butcher the name, Luleå Technical University. This doctor has previously served 2-year engagement in Sweden as a visiting professor of entrepreneurship and the co-director of a major research project on firm growth. His students have gone on to build companies worth several $billion. Not to mention, he is a charter member. I don't know if he even realizes this, but he's a charter member of the Real Estate Wholesalers Club. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome Europe's leading expert on entrepreneurship, Dr. Terrence Brown. Welcome, Dr. Brown.
Hey, glad to be here. Glad to be here, Justin. We've talked about it for a while, but here it is.
Yes, welcome. Now, what was all that I just read? If you're like me, you're probably going, who to what'd he do? That's amazing.
Yeah, I go by a lot of different titles. In Germany, I'm Dr. Terrence Brown. In the rest of Europe, I'm Dr. Brown, except in Sweden, I'm Terrence, because they're quite informal here. So you can call me pretty much anything you want, except for late for dinner.
This man is a great man. Very honored to call him a friend, and honored to have him here today. I have no idea where this trail is going to lead us, but it is going to take us somewhere dynamic. What do you have prepared for us today, Dr. Terrence?
Yeah, I have just a little stuff prepared, but I really wanted to be open because my task for today is to answer as many questions that the group has with respect to building businesses and marketing their businesses and generally creating wealth. So whatever questions people have, I'm open to it. But there are a couple of points that I want to start with if I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to go ahead and take us where you want us to go. And guys, too, like he said, feel free if you're in the Zoom room at www.zoomjustin.com. Feel free to unmute your microphone and let's have a great time and learning. If you guys seen Shark Tank, the show, this guy is like that. Okay, he's like one of those judges. He's a super genius. So feel free to get your get your Q&A in today, guys. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to say is that who am I? I mean, you Justin, you gave me this wonderful introduction, and that was great. But it's a who am I to you individually as a real estate investor? And what I'd like you to think of me as is kind of your own personal nerd. I'm your personal your own personal nerd. I do the research and the study, so you don't have to. I do the research and the study, so you don't have to. You can get on doing the job of making money through investing in real estate. And there's one thing that I want to say, and this is important to say that I'm sure Justin would agree with me on this, is that there's no one best way. Okay, there's no one best way to go about the real estate investment business. But what Justin and I try to share with you is ways that we know can reduce your chance for failure and increase your chance for success. So the things that we talk about here today, and the things that we talk about at the Real Estate Wholesalers Club, no one is claiming that this is the only way to do things,
Right.
because things change. Okay, context changes. You have your own individual style. The environment that you're investing in is quite a bit
Right.
different. So you have to be flexible and you have to be quick on your feet. So things change. There's no but one best way. Okay, but the idea is for you to understand the basic principles, and when you have the basic principles, then you can apply them in different contexts. Oftentimes, because I'm spend most of the daylight as an academic, they talk about the difference between theory and practice, and you don't teach practice, and you teach too much theory, and you think about theory, and what they miss is this one thing, is that there's nothing more practical than a good theory. There's nothing more practical than a good theory. What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
It's very simple. Is that if someone teaches you, okay, how to fish in a lake, okay, teaches you how to fish in a lake very practically, okay, that doesn't necessarily mean you can then go fish on a deep sea fishing boat. Because while it's basically the same, fishing on a boat in the middle of the ocean is quite a bit different than fishing on the side of the lake.
Right.
However, if you learn the theory of fishing, then you can apply it to fishing in a lake.
Right.
You can apply it to fishing in the ocean.
Yeah.
You could apply to fishing on a boat on a lake, and a boat in an ocean, on a pier.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you learn the theory, then you can apply it to many, many different situations. So don't get hung up with, oh, that's theory and this is practice, because once you know the theory, then you can apply it. So that's one thing that I wanted to make clear.
That's good. It didn't take long to start getting really interesting and good. Man, that's a great concept. I hear a lot of people almost complaining, like say, as a coach, your courses, your trainings, is what you share. Is it a lot of theory, or I found it to be a lot of theory and not a lot of demonstrated practice, and I'm kind of like you've addressed that in a very, very interesting way. That was great, man. I love the illustration too. I've never fished on a boat, um, but I want to someday. Have you done that, sir?
Yeah, I have not in a really long time. In fact, it's been a really long time. It's been, oh, I don't know, 30 years. I was with my father, who was still alive at the time, and we were going out uh, off the shore in New Jersey. And I was really excited. It was interesting because the guy who owned the boat actually only had one leg. And it was interesting to see how he was able to maneuver this boat with one leg, but he did a really excellent job. So we're heading out. We got off the pier. We're heading out to the Jersey shore, and then all of a sudden, bam! And what happened is we hit a part of the pier, the wooden pier had fallen off, and it was submerged just underneath the water. And so we hit it, and it took the propeller off. And unfortunately, my ocean fishing day was kind of canceled, as we had to call up the folks to tow us back in. So it has been a long time, but it's been a long time that I fished anywhere. That's not true. I fished with my twin girls when they were younger here in Stockholm, very close to home, because it's very easy to catch fish. They bite anything shiny.
Wow.
Small fish.
Huh.
So yeah.
I fish off the bank here sometimes on the river, and I equate business to fishing a lot too. And because I feel like it's like throwing a series of lines in the water, you know, so to speak. You're kind of fishing. You're fishing for a customer, a prospect, a lead, someone to do a transaction with. And a lot of people don't even have a line in the water, and yet some people have numerous lines in the water, and that's what I like to do. I like to go fishing and multiply my opportunities, my chances, rather than just fish with one little. I feel like that's almost just not enough.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. You got to be in it to win it. I mean, you got to have your hooks in the water in order to catch fish. And the more hooks in the water you have. But another way to think of it is there's fishing and there's hunting. There's fishing and there's hunting.
Hmm.
So in fishing, you have your lines out, but you don't know exactly who you're going to catch, which kind of fish you're going to catch. It's a little bit more random, so to say.
Yeah.
But in terms of hunting, you're going after the prey. You know who the prey is. You have the prey in your sight, and then you go after it. So it's much more targeted and rifle. There are two approaches, and people hunt every day and people fish every day. They both catch fish, and they both are successful hunters, but it's a different approach. And I think that depending upon your personality, and the context, your personality or context may lead you to a more fishing strategy, while on the other hand, it may lead you to a more hunting strategy, and they're both equally appropriate.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I really like the idea of the fishing because I relate more than the hunting. When talking about business and marketing and getting deals and real estate um, I feel like that's what that is when you're putting your marketing out there, you're throwing a line in the water and waiting. But in a way, I haven't thought of it like that before. You kind of are hunting for that one motivated seller or that one homeowner that needs payment relief. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, do you feel like it's more of a hunting strategy or more of a fishing strategy, or is it a combination of the two?
It's a good question. I mean, I think that I think that it can be one or the other, or a combination of the both. I was gonna bring this quote up a little bit later, but John Wanamaker, the Wanamaker, or the department store. They don't really have too many of them, I don't think, anymore. But Wanamaker
Hmm.
used to be big with Macy's and all of those
Yeah.
big kind of
Yeah.
stores. And he said that half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. I just can't figure out what half.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
can't figure out what half.
Right.
And what's interesting about that is it goes back to uh, how do you segment your customers, and customer segmentation. It's a kind of $100 word. So I'll break it down to you. It's, who's your customer, and most people, who is your customer, and also who isn't your customer.
Right. Exactly.
Because what
That's
happens
huge.
is people spend way too much time and way too much money focusing on people who are not their customer and will never be their customer.
Right.
And what we have to do if we want to be successful, because marketing is expensive. So we want each marketing dollar that we spend to really be effective. So to do that, we have to exclude as many people from our pool as we can, so we can just focus our message to those folks who are
Mm-hmm.
their customers.
Mm-hmm.
My in hanging around the real estate business here, in this wholesaler business, not the club, but just in general, people are not as focused as they should be. If you ask them who their
Yeah.
customer, if you're wholesaling, for example,
Correct.
okay, so who are your customers? They would have a difficult time telling you, but they shouldn't. They should know
Right.
exactly who their customers are on both sides. Who the potential sellers, where are they, what type of house do they have, why are they motivated, how are they motivated, and on the cash buyer side, who are they looking for? Are they looking for,
Exactly.
are they looking for the occasional cash buyer? Are they looking for the cash buyer that has never done this before, the corporate cash buyer? Who are they actually looking for? You really have to, if you're going to be serious about this, you really need to say, okay, who is my customer? Because then once you know who your customer is and who your customer isn't, then you can go about by providing value for that
Yeah.
particular customer.
Gosh, I really believe that. That's powerful. Yeah, but a lot of people get discouraged with the marketing, get discouraged with the leads, get discouraged with the phone calls and conversations with potential prospects when they realize that this one wasn't the one, and the next one wasn't the one after that wasn't the one. But see, that's the beauty of it, though, and that you're talking about, and that's being able to know the difference between who is your customer. You're not looking for all of them to be your customer. You're basically just looking for those that are your customer. And to recognize the difference between the two is really what makes you a great business person, especially in the real estate business, and to not waste time on the non-customer, uh, but to get right to business with the one that is a customer that can do business today. I love what you said in this video on Facebook, on the Real Estate Wholesalers Club Facebook group,
Mm-hmm.
where you were talking about your value proposition.
Yes.
And value proposition is not even probably going to even be important for you if you don't know who your customer is.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
The customer segment goes hand in hand with the value proposition, because your value proposition will change based upon who the customer segment is. So if we're a wholesaler and we have two customer segments, we have the seller on one side and the cash buyer on the other side. Those are two different propositions. They
Yes.
are looking for two different things. And when you
Yes.
approach them, you have to approach them differently, because
Right.
while they're interrelated, they need and want different things.
Right. They do exactly. Yeah, it's almost like the entrepreneur in the real estate business has to have two different hats because he has a multi-level enterprise, multi-platform enterprise. What's the
Yes, in fact, a multi-sided platform is the kind of business model it is. Yeah.
now you guys know if you've listened to any of the 2.0 courses I've done. In the very first video of both of them, I call the real estate wholesaling business a multi-level or not a multi-level, but multi-platform business.
Yeah, multi-sided platform. Yeah.
And I stole that from Dr. Terrence Brown. So
did you? It is. It exactly is that. And what's important as well about this, there are a whole bunch of things that I want to get to, but it's related to this. It's related to the value proposition as well. Is this idea of USP, which stands for unique selling proposition,
right,
and also your competitive advantage.
The USP, the unique selling proposition.
Yep.
That's your business's silver bullet, right?
It is why you and not the guy next door. Why should the seller sell to you?
Great.
And not the guy next door? Why should the buyer, the cash buyer, buy from you, right, and not the next guy next door? And what's happening now with the proliferation of courses and TV programs talking about wholesaling, the number of wholesalers, of course, has increased tremendously over the last couple of years. And the challenge there is that there's more competition now for us.
Yeah, sure.
So if the guy is talking to 5 or 6 other people, they get the yellow postcards and all those things, things that they get hammered with.
Sure.
Why are they going to call you, or why are they going to do business with you, or why are they going to give you 5 more minutes of their time,
right,
rather than the other person? And I think that most folks in this business don't have an answer for that.
Right.
If you ask them, why should the seller buy from you? They'd say, because I asked them to. Well, the other person asked them to too. Well, I am offering him money. Well, the other person is offering him money too. But what is the reason they should do business with you? And this requires some self-reflection. This requires self-reflection. Each of us as real estate investors need to think, okay, why should they go with me? If you cannot explain to yourself first why a customer should buy from you, they won't. they won't.
Right.
You have to believe that by doing business with you, that the customer is going to be better off than doing business with your neighbor, because you're nicer, you're kinder, you're quicker, you give better customer service, you're more earnest, whatever the reason may be.
Right.
There has to be a reason, because once there's a reason and you believe it, then you're going to be able to sell your socks off. Because if you really believe that the customer needs to do business with you, you're not going to take no for an answer. You say, you've got to do it. This is the best deal that I can give you. Wow. And these are the reasons.
Wow.
Well, I don't think I want. No, you have to do it. This is the reason. You come back again and again, and you use all your passion and all your ability to persuade to get that person to really understand that he has to do business with you.
Yes.
He can't do business with anybody else.
Man, do you see a difference, guys, in your approach versus what he just described? Big difference, night and day for most of us. Night and day for most of us are coming like a beggar, like a servant, hoping they'll forgive your lowness and have mercy on you and give you some money in exchange for this, or do the deal with you. But this is a paradigm shift, guys. Catch it while you can.
They are not doing you a favor. You're doing them a favor.
Correct. You're trying to separate them from their money, and and you're offering value for this. in exchange. It's not a ripoff. It's not a scam. It's a fair exchange. But do you believe in it? I think is what you're getting at.
Yep, you have to believe it. You have to believe it.
It's incredible.
You have to believe it. I'm going to talk about failure and rejection because I think because my question that I often start with people is have you failed today?
Right.
Have you been rejected today? And most people say failed. And no, I haven't failed. No, I haven't failed today because people think that failure is a bad thing.
I've done everything I can to avoid it. In fact, doctor.
There you go. And I would say that's the mistake. That's a mistake. Before I get into it, there was a guy, and he believed in this concept that I'm talking about here. And so every morning he would try to talk to Steve Jobs. So what do we mean by talk to Steve Jobs? He got the phone number over in Cupertino when Steve Jobs was alive, and called up and talked to the secretary, maybe secretary number 2, and said, "Can I talk to Steve Jobs?" Every morning. Now, for a while, what happened, of course, he started developing a relationship with the office, and so they knew him, and they knew the call was coming. Did he ever he did it for a couple of years. Did he ever get through? Absolutely not. Okay. So why did he keep doing it? Justin, why do you think he did it? Why do you think he did it every morning?
He's crazy. No other.
Yes, he's crazy, but he had another reason.
He knew eventually he would at least a rumor would go into the office that he was trying to get into, and he would probably gain an audience that way. Well, I'm guessing.
Yep. And the answer was no. He knew that he would never get in, but he wanted to start each morning with rejection. He wanted to start each morning by getting a punch in the stomach, a slap in the face, because if he started like that, things could only get better.
That's right.
Things could only get better. I mean, it's if you're not failing, you're not trying enough new things.
Right.
If you're not failing, you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Okay. We talked about how the company that put Pepsi Cola went bankrupt 3 times. Henry Ford 2 or 3 times. Thomas Edison coming up with the light bulb failed over 1,000 times. Rovio, the company that made Angry Birds, they tried 51 different things. They all failed. Okay. Failure is part of the process. Failure is part of the process. And from each failure contains information. Every time you fail, you learn a little something.
Yeah.
And you take what you've learned and you incorporate that. You make that become part of your process. And so every day you get better and better.
Right.
I mean, you ever see sometimes you have these really pretty women, and you see their boyfriend, and the guy, you're saying like, he looks like a bum off the street. You're saying, why is that?
Exactly.
And you know what the answer is? The answer is most normal guys already believe that girl has to already have a boyfriend. And even if he doesn't have a boyfriend, she would never say yes to me.
Exactly.
So what happens is that they don't get asked out because people already think that they're going to be defeated. So the reason that these beggar-looking guys get these women is they don't care about failing. They don't care. They don't care. It's a numbers game.
Right.
And I want to this is important for everyone to understand that this is a numbers game as well. As I said in the video earlier this week, if you fail in baseball 7 out of 10 times, they pay you a couple of $1 million a year.
Right.
If you fail 6 times out of 10 in baseball, you go directly to the Hall of Fame. No one has done that since Ted Williams in the late 40s.
Hmm. Hmm.
In real estate, how much money would you make if you failed 9 out of 10 times?
Whew. Right.
If you fail 9 out of 10 times, you could make tens of millions of dollars. If you're not failing, you're not prospecting enough. You don't have enough leads. You're not asking enough people.
Right. Right.
I was selling books when I was freshman in college. I was selling books door to door. Don't ask me why, but I would suggest for anybody that going on the book field, selling books door to door, selling anything door to door is a tremendous education.
Yeah.
I was selling books in Flint, Michigan, in the summer of 1981, which was the Reagan recession before the boom. And
No
Flint,
kidding.
Michigan was where they made was where Fisher Body was, where they used to make the bodies of the GM cars, and unemployment rate was 25% that summer. And I was knocking on people's doors trying to get them to buy books. And one of the stories we learned on the book field was there was a guy and he was selling books, and he knew that he would make a sale every fourth house. So he went to this door and knocked on the door, and the guy said, what do you do? What do you want? He goes, I'm trying to sell these books. He goes, get lost. Because I'm not interested. And the guy said, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And he said, wait a minute, did you hear what I said? I said, I'm not interested in get lost. He said, I heard you, sir. I heard you, sir. And he starts, packing up and getting ready to run. He goes, wait a minute. Why are you so happy? I told you I wasn't interested in buying your books. He said, well, Miss Smith on the corner said no. Mr. Brown next door said no. And now you're saying no. That means the next house, I'm going to make a sale. And the guy said, wait a minute. What do you sell? What are you doing here? And he went into his sales pitch. The guy didn't want to be left out. So he made a sale on the third house and then also made a sale on the fourth house.
Great.
It's a numbers game.
His enthusiasm too,
Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game. If you're not out there making the numbers, you'll never succeed. And you have to build up a thick skin.
You're right.
You have to build up a skin so rejection doesn't hurt you. The guy called up every morning, so it helped. Each time you hear a no, it helps with your skin. It helps you develop a thicker skin every time. And you want to be like Superman, where rejection and failure just bounces off of you.
Yeah.
And you will be successful if you have the ability to push through. You have to desensitize yourself to failure.
Right.
And once you do that, the world is your oyster. You can't help yourself from being successful, because a failure is just another part of your learning. It's another way that you get a thicker skin, and you just keep on moving forward.
Right. Boom. There's your answer, guys.
There you go.
There's your answer. Yeah. Yeah. Man. Mind bombs going off. It's like honey dripping from your lips, man.
Well, I don't know about that. But try to slip a couple of nuggets in every once in a while. I think it's important for us as well to think about, related to this, this unique selling proposition, is the idea of competitive advantage as well. They go very closely hand in hand, in that, because there's so much competition out there, you really do need to think about, what do you do better than the rest?
Yeah.
And I think that if you need to think about it, you need to reflect, and you need to, if there isn't anything right now that you do better than the rest, that's okay, but you need to work towards that.
Right.
You need to
Right.
work towards that, so there is something that you do better than the rest. It can be pulling lists, it can be prospecting, it can be how you speak on the phone. It can be
Yeah,
it, it
exactly.
can be a whole host of
Yeah.
things. But you need to be able to do something better than the
Right.
rest, because competition out there is pretty stiff, and you need to be able to have that self confidence that you are adding and providing value
Right.
to the customers. Because if you believe that, as we said before, if you really believe in your heart that what you're doing is helpful and beneficial and you're
Right.
providing value, then that passion will help you get over some of the heartbreak that may come from the periodic rejection and that sort of thing that's going to happen, the failure that you're going to have.
Let's talk about the competition.
Sure.
You've mentioned those people a
Yeah.
few times. The competition. Now, the fact about the competition is that they got problems too, right?
Mm. Yeah. This is a little I don't know, trick, and it's also something that I talked about this week when I had um, a special class, and it's a little bit it might be controversial. It's a little bit different perspective on competition, and it goes something like this: if there are customers out there, okay, if there are customers out there and they're not doing business with your competitor, okay, that means that their needs are not being met, their problems are not being served.
Right.
Okay, their wants are not being filled, because if they were, then they'd all be, the competition would have 100% of the of the business. But if they're still out there, that means they're not being served. So what that means is, excuse me, is that we have an opportunity to find out what their needs are, to find out what their problems are, to find out what their wants are, and to serve them better. So if we do that, if we focus on the customer, if we are customer centered, do we actually need to care about the competition?
Hmm. Ooh. Wow.
See, because all we need to know is that there are still needs being unsatisfied. That means the competition isn't doing their job. That's all we need to know.
Right.
We just focus on the customer and doing our job, and let the competition do whatever they want. Don't
Right.
worry about the competition. Just worry about the customer. You just worry about how you're going to meet the customer's need, how you're going to meet the customer's wants, how you're going to solve the customer's problems, how you're going to solve the pain, how you're going to relieve the pain that the customer is having. And that's all you need to worry about.
Right.
That's all the business in the world you need. You don't need to think about the competition. People get all perplexed and tired out by thinking about things they don't need to think about. You don't need to
Hmm.
think about the competition. All you need to do is think about the customer. All you need to do is think about what value are you bringing to the customer. Now, remember, we didn't really talk about value proposition other than we mentioned it a couple of times. But a value proposition, you can think of a value proposition as a bundle of tangible and intangible benefits that you give the customer in exchange for their money, generally, if you're selling a product. So it's tangible
Right.
and intangible things.
Tell us about the intangible. What does this mean? An
Yeah.
experience? What?
Yeah, it's if you wear, let's say we're Mercedes, okay? We're selling a Mercedes. So part of their tangible benefits is the car. Okay, the car
Right.
itself is a tangible benefit that we get. But what else do we get when we buy a Mercedes? What else do we get when we buy a Mercedes?
We get to rub it into the neighbors' faces a little bit when we pull it up in our driveway.
Absolutely. You get a sense of self-esteem. You get a sense of luxury. You get a sense of safety. All of these things are intangible. So you get a bundle of goods when you buy a Mercedes, and you get a bundle of goods when you buy any other product or service as well. So when you're selling your service to the customer, okay, the seller or the buyer, you're giving them it could be, they could be in a very bad financial situation. Okay. Yes, you're giving them money. That's the tangible thing. But you're also giving them a sense of dignity, potentially. Or you're making them feel, by looking at them in the face and being kind to them, they might not have had that in a while because people have been treating them poorly. These are things, intangibles, that you can bring to the table. And you know one thing? Intangibles tend to cost less. Intangibles tend to cost less than the value they have. How much does it cost to smile and give somebody a handshake?
Right.
It costs you nothing, but it might make the deal. It might be very valuable to them.
Yeah.
Very valuable to them.
And these are the things that can make your business the best around.
There you go. Because then once you start getting the word of mouth happening, people will be trying to find out you. We talked about how marketing is expensive. Once you get the word, inbound marketing, when people coming to you because they heard that you were a good guy, they heard that it didn't matter that you pay that you didn't pay as much as the next guy, but they heard you were fast, they heard you were kind, they heard that you dealt with people fairly.
Yeah, people talk.
People will talk. People will talk.
That's the hotline. Yeah. People talk. I've had it happen, Dr. Terrence. I've had people that I've done deals with, homeowners. And then as soon as that deal closed, I've had that same homeowner call me and say, hey, I have a friend with a house that is moving and she needs an offer. Here's her number. I told her she could call you. I hope that's okay. Absolutely.
Exactly. Because just like rich people hang out with other rich people, people in financial distress hang out with other people in financial distress.
That's so right. That's so right. Yes.
And you got to sometimes, it'll happen on its own. Okay. But don't wait on it to happen for it. Ask for the referral. Say, hey, look, if you think I did a good job, do you have anybody else that I might be able to help or need somebody to talk to? Ask for the referral.
Right. Simple little things. Simple little things.
Simple little things. And something that I referred to earlier in one of the videos for this week, again, it's, again, I said, if you play at this real estate game, you make play money. If you're serious or take it like a business, you'll make business money.
Right.
Okay. And it doesn't really take much, okay, to move from play to serious or from hobby to business, but it does take some things. We've talked about a number of these things today. Value proposition, your competitive advantage, customer segment.
Right.
You need to have systems.
You
need to be able to grow. You need to understand what you do well, what you like to do, and focus on that and be the best at that you can be. That doesn't mean that you need to be the best at everything. You just need to be the best at a few things and then outsource the rest.
Right. That's the world we live in. Absolutely. Absolutely. If something's holding you back, one piece of the business, no big deal. There's literally thousands of people that would be willing to do that for dollars.
Yep. Exactly. So are there any questions out there? Is everybody asleep?
I've got everybody's mics muted in the Zoom room because I was like, don't interrupt him. He's in his flow. I'm getting what I need. So don't shh, everybody be quiet. All right. Now unmute your mics, guys. Dr. Terrence Brown here. He is Europe's leading expert in entrepreneurship. He's just another he's on another level, guys. But here's what amazes me about today's session so far. A lot of things, but that he is an educator of this caliber, but yet he's laying it out to us like breaking the bread and cooking the fishes and hunting in the woods and putting a smile on your face and having a firm handshake and looking the part and believing in yourself and the simple things, guys. You'd think that when you get as smart as Dr. Terrence Brown, this stuff here doesn't matter anymore. But that's not what he's saying.
No, I mean, I'm glad that I hope that I'm able to communicate some of these ideas. But when it comes down to it, business is about people. And right. If you're, and if you can deal with people nicely and fairly and sensibly and whatnot, and provide good value, that's what you need. That's what you need to do.
Right.
It's not rocket science. It requires hard work. It requires a thick skin. It requires the ability to fail forward. Okay.
Right.
But it's not that complex. It's not that
right.
complex.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't really have a question because it's just been amazing. I just wanted to say, Dr. Terrence, thank you, because like Justin said, simplifying this is I love the analogy, and I love the simplification of it. So, and the fact that I can continue failing forward, I'm successful at failing forward. I'm not successful, but I'm successful at failing forward. The thing is, I will keep getting back up. I'm just too stupid to keep getting back up. But thank you for this time and the message.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I'm glad that you're able to get a few things out of it. It's very difficult to try to teach in a half an hour, 45 minutes, in an hour. I just hope that I can share a couple of ideas that when you get offline, you can reflect and say, "Ooh, that sounds interesting. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on that." If I can do that, then that's great. And then if I'm fortunate enough to be invited back another time, maybe I can drop a few more nuggets and you add that to your process.
Yeah.
Your baseball analogy was wonderful, because I think, oh my gosh, I mean, it's like some people, like the old thing where Gary Player, somebody said, I wish, and he was very hot-headed about it, and said, I wish I could hit a ball like you. And he turned on him and he says, no, you don't get up at X amount of time. You don't swing the club. You don't hit the club till your hands got blisters and raw. And he vented very much so, because the guy was just being nice and complimenting. But the point is, when you're so dedicated to your craft, and the same thing about salesmanship and mentoring people, whatever, when you're that, it's like Justin, what he puts out in the content is so encouraging to help others. And so it's anyway, I just applaud you both. So this is really good.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
but Justin is great. I mean, the time that he spends with you, with us in the VIP room and the VIP group coaching, as well as the individual coaching, it's tremendous, because certainly he doesn't have to do any of this. I mean, this is taking away from his business, but he's so giving that was one of the things that drew me to him early on. So so I'm glad that but some people. The thing is that neither I nor Justin can do it for you. We can tell you, we can show you, okay, but ultimately there needs to be some action on the individual's part.
Right.
And that's the rub. And he even helps with that in terms of the accountability room. You feel embarrassed if you haven't done your cold calls, or you haven't done your lead follow-up, or you haven't pulled lists or set the REI automation. You haven't done these things, so you come to the room and you feel really bad. So I mean, even the accountability is pushing you as much as he very not much more he can do for you. I mean, it's like I'm just
I agree.
All right, guys, stop talking about me. I love you guys. It's such an honor to have you here. Dr. Terrence Brown said at the very beginning of this session, he said, now, what I want to do is I want you to understand that people complicate things and make them more difficult in their minds. That's what he started out with. And then he laid it out like that for us with these illustrations, and they really do hit home. He's an excellent educator. I love Dr. Terrence Brown. He's someone that he quietly watches behind the bushes, you might say.
Exactly.
And he's been watching for a long time, guys, and I've been watching him now since I discovered that he was watching me. I'm watching him, and man, I like everything I see about him, and he's a very humble man and very generous himself, and he's it's an honor to know him. So, guys, I want you to feel free here to ask any question that you have for Dr. Terrence Brown. And it doesn't have to be about what we've talked about today necessarily. It could be about how to manage your business and your family, life work balance, or it could be a number of things. I know we had someone in the chat put in something about, can you talk a little bit about life work balance and so on and so forth. But so I don't know if you want to mention that, Dr. Brown, but
yeah, I mean, I could talk a little bit about that. I mean, it's well, I'll start off by saying that that entrepreneurship is not easy, and it takes a lot of hard work, and it's very challenging to establish a balance. It's a balance is something that you have to work towards. It's not something that happens by itself. I would say that one of the things that I just mentioned in terms of moving your business from a hobby or playing at it to actual business has to do with systems. And once you can employ some systems, once you can outsource some things, then those are tools that you can use to help balance your work life a little bit more. I mean, especially in the beginning. I mean, just like anything else, an airplane. Now, don't hold me to the numbers because this has been a while. But they said like an airplane takes like 130% of rated power to get off of the ground. But once it gets off the ground and reaches cruising altitude, they throttle back, and then they are driving at like 70. But to get off the ground and to get moving and get that momentum going, you got to work hard. You got to, you can sleep when you're dead. You can, I mean, you got to work hard. You got to put other things aside. You have to turn off the TV. You have to get up a little bit earlier. Okay. You got to stay up a little bit later.
Right.
And you got to put that work in. But once you get going and get the momentum going, then there's some tools and things that you can employ that allow you then to throttle back. Because if you have to work all the time, okay, then it might not be worth it for you.
Right.
Okay? So you have to be able to get it to a point where you can throttle it down. I think that one of the life balance issues is that people never get it to the point where they then can employ the systems to reduce the amount of time. Mm-hmm. And they're going on all sorts of directions. They haven't had a plan. They jumping at all sorts of shiny new objects and they're buying all kinds of stuff, but they don't have a plan. And so you need to have a plan, and you need to try to stick to the plan. It doesn't mean that you have to follow it all the time. you need to be flexible with it. But I think the key is that you work at a balance and you employ tools and systems. And these days, with computerization and the internet and all sorts of free tools, there's so many free tools available, like the one that we're on right now.
Right.
There's so many tools that are available for free that you really can manage your business. I mean, I don't know how many people we have watching us, but I mean, you could be just as easily talking to your team. That could be just as easily anywhere in the world, and we could be having a sales meeting, a management meeting, and motivating people from all over the world, all over different time zones. It's whatever time. It's a couple of minutes to 6 tonight. This evening, I'm about to go to the dinner at my brother-in-law's house. Actually, once we're done here. But I mean, all of these things are possible, and you can overcome them with techniques, tools, and systems. And having the right people,
There's a question here in the chat from Tom. I hear sometimes about making the seller prospect the hero. Is stressing the unique selling proposition more important today because of competition?
Yeah, I mean, I think yes, that it's important to be able to differentiate yourself from the pack. And the best way to do that, of course, is to be better at something than the competition. I'm not sure you need to hammer the sales prospect over the head with it, but you do need to communicate it so that the prospect is aware that that you're special in some sort of way. Okay. I think that the best way to do that, though, is by convincing him or her through your knowledge and passion that the value that you're bringing to them is greater than is just greater than what they expect and what they expected. Over deliver.
Right.
You don't need to say I'm the best because blah. It's not about you being the best. That's not what it's about. Okay, it's not about that, because it's about how you can bring value to the customer the best. That's what they want to know.
Right.
They don't care that you're the best. They just want to know that you're doing the best for them.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're coming from a whiff 'em, what's in it for me mentality. Like they don't care what makes you the best or your ego. They're concerned about their needs being met in exchange for this here money or this here property or.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, I think that I think with them is a really good thing to keep in mind, all the time when you're speaking. What's in it for me, and you need to be. Again, this is about business, and this is about making money. If someone else wants to take credit for something, if someone else wants to, pride of ownership stinks. My mother used to say, it doesn't matter who came up with the idea, so long as you benefit from it.
Right.
If the customer needs to believe that it was his idea, or if the customer needs to believe that he's getting a better deal, if the customer needs to believe, all that is perfectly fine, so long as you close the deal, so long as you just say, it doesn't matter what they think. You just say, oh yes, you're an amazing person. I'm glad that I did business with you. And thank you very much. And go to the next. Go to the bank.
Yeah, I believe you were Napoleon Bonaparte in a previous life. That's cool. Are we doing the deal?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It doesn't matter what you. It doesn't matter. Just go ahead. Exactly.
That's great. Another question here. What would you suggest? Any ideas, techniques to help someone get over the fear of cold calling? But I'd like to expand that a little bit and say, as an entrepreneur starting a business, there's always an aspect of it. I heard Zig Ziglar say this. You're never going to find something, a business, even your own, where you love every part of it. There will always be some aspect of the business that you either struggle with or not personally talented with or gifted, or that you just even despise or hate. And for a lot of real estate investors, that's the phone. But it could be other things. So what would you recommend as far as anything that might help people bolster the strength to, or the confidence, or maybe there's a better word?
Yeah, I mean, first thing that comes to mind is buck up, Buttercup. Pick up the phone and start dialing.
Ooh, boom.
I in a previous life, I was a stockbroker, and all we did at that particular time in the industry was cold call, and I used to make 200 calls a day. I hated making
Wow.
phone calls. I hate being on the phone today, maybe in part because of that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you do what you have to do.
Right.
The owner of the store doesn't like cleaning the toilets, but if it needs to be cleaned, he does it
Right.
because he knows it has to be done. What's your
Exactly.
responsibility? If this is the method of marketing that you have chosen. Now, again, no one's chosen this for you. You've chosen cold calling as the way to do the business, then you do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to cold call. You can send
Yeah.
text messages. You can put up bandit signs. You can do a whole host of other types of marketing. You don't have to do cold calling.
Right.
But I think that what Justin is saying is, well, one, you make choices. Two, you have to pick ways in which you do business that match your own personality. You have to do things that match your own personality.
Right.
And you might not be a cold calling person, so you don't do that. Maybe you have to get a partner who loves cold calling, but you like to close face to face, and so
Right.
you differentiate the jobs. That
Right.
person does this, and you do that. It goes to what Justin was saying: is what part of it do you like? What part of it that you don't like? And also, you don't have to like all parts of the business to get it done. So I would say that if you're really having difficulty, I mean, to get to the point, if you're really having difficulty with cold calling, and you think that even with time you're not going to be able to get over it, then don't do it. If that's going to prevent you from success, then don't do it. Market in a different sort of way,
Right.
or get a partner that can do it.
And don't view yourself as a failure taking a step back because I can't do this, or I'm not good with this, because literally what he's offering you here is the mentality of taking a sidestep and going around this problem. Getting a different way, taking a detour.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's I mean, you can't let these I'm going to say a little thing. You can't let these things, they're roadblocks, but you got to go over them or above them.
Right.
You got to go around them.
Yeah.
You're going to have roadblocks every day, and you have to figure out ways to get around them. Because this business, if you just look at the folks that are making money doing this business, you wonder, how in the world is this idiot making this much money? It doesn't take
Right.
brains to do this. It doesn't take, I mean, anybody can do this business if they want to. If they work hard about it, if they work smart about it, anybody can do it. All you have to do is look at the people who are having success. So there's no reason in the world why you can't do it. You just have to find your own path.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Was that when to start automating your business or outsourcing it? Or is there some other? I don't want to take up too much of your time today. Too, you've been so gracious. We've been here a little over an hour now, so I don't know if you want to wrap up right now, but we can, or you can tell us a little more about when to start outsourcing. That's at least one thing you could do when you run into a roadblock like that, is begin to outsource or automate. Or is there more opportunities that present themselves that we should recognize, hey, now's a great time to start doing hiring a virtual assistant? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one. I mean, that's one way that when you start running into things that, when you run into things that you would prefer not doing, that's certainly one way to do it. I mean, I think that this is actually a potential longer discussion that we can have another time. It has to do with your own personal business model.
Yeah.
How you want to conduct your business. How much of it do you want to do? How much do you want to outsource? Where are you earning your profits? If we look at a business, we can say that that a startup is a temporary organization that's searching for a profitable, repeatable, and scalable business model. So as we start our real estate investment business, we're trying out a lot of different things, and we're trying to see what works. We're trying to see what works with us, what we like to do. Okay. And you try to say, oh, I made a little money doing this. Okay. And then you try to do it again. Can I do it again and again and again? That's the idea of being repeatable. Was it just a one-time thing, or can I do it? Can I do it repeatable? Is it profitable? Okay. And then you start thinking about, okay, I can do it and I can do it a lot, but how much can I actually make by doing it myself? How do I have to scale it? Do I have to get an assistant? Do I need to get a partner? Do I need to move to a different, expand my market to a different city? You start thinking about these ideas of scaling. And then once you have this plan that's, again, profitable, repeatable, and scalable, that's when you then start looking at expanding in a great sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that as you say, you're looking for hiring a virtual assistant when there's a task that you know that needs to be done, but you're not good at it or don't want to do it. That's one time. Another time that you might want to scale is when you have reached the capacity of your work. You're working full out and you can't expand anymore because you have no time, or you have no more time. That's another reason that you might want to get a virtual assistant. I think that one of the things with virtual assistants, though, the problem is that the very first day someone starts as a real estate wholesaler, they start thinking about getting a virtual assistant. They haven't even made one call yet. They haven't spoken to one. They haven't spoken to one buyer, but they need a virtual assistant. So what I think is, excuse me, what I think is that you need to know every aspect of your business. You need to be an expert at every aspect of your business before you even think about getting a virtual assistant. And when you have mastered it all, okay, and then you have reached some of these other triggers that we talked about, then you can start thinking about getting a virtual assistant. You have to manage. First, you have to find a virtual assistant. Then you have to train that virtual assistant. And then you have to manage that virtual assistant. These things, people think it's easy to outsource.
Then you got to pay them.
You got to pay them too. People think it's easy to outsource. But in reality, there's a skill to outsourcing.
Oh, yeah.
There's a skill to outsourcing, finding the right person, training the right person, managing the right person, getting the right systems and tools and monitoring them and paying. There's a whole thing to that. It's not just an easy sort of thing. Yeah. So people think it is, and they put an ad and go to the Philippines and get a virtual assistant, and the whole thing explodes, and they wonder why. Because they weren't ready. They weren't prepared.
Right.
They didn't know the business.
Yeah. I've been wanting to put this course together on just a handful of videos or something, maybe some materials that correspond with it, but on the outsourcing in detail. And Michael Batista is a great expert at that. We have another gentleman here named Rick, and he's an expert. And I would not say I'm an expert, but I'm pretty experienced with it. And now you would be an expert with some of these ideas too. So maybe if I talk to you real nice, send you a Real Estate Wholesalers Club hoodie, I can get you to come back and participate in that course for a session or something and really lay it out. Cause man, that I wish that we had another hour to just get you going on that topic. But you've been so kind and gracious with your time, sir. And I know time is money, and you're an expensive and valuable man. So I don't want to keep you any longer, but I do want to express my gratitude. Thank you for being here. If you can send me email me your mailing address.
Sure.
I will put in the mail one of these shirts or t-shirt or hoodie. Just tell me which one, what size.
Great.
And I'll send you either a tee or a hoodie, and you can go jogging in it or
no, thanks. I mean, I think that we were all over the place today, but next time we could focus on one particular topic, whether it be outsourcing or a business model or value proposition or intangible benefits or whatever it is. We can focus on one. But I mean, I think that there are opportunities. There are always opportunities for good training programs and courses, and there's so much garbage out there. And there's so much people just and these guys are really successful selling this stuff, and so there is room for quality materials and so and generosity and a whole bunch of stuff. So just let me know when you need it. We can do that.
Y'all heard him say it right here. So I got him on. This is a verbal contract right here.
Which of course is not valid for real estate, as we know.
Or most other things, but in this case,
exactly. And then we have the intercountry thing too, as well. So
so it's going to be hard to enforce, but
it's going to be hard to enforce.
Hey, I really love you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And
no problem.
Like I said, I cannot say enough how honored I am to know you and have you part of the group and watching us from where you are and adding the content you've added today. And every now and then you'll post something or make a comment on something. Guys, when you see Dr. Terrence Brown comment on something, you better listen, because man knows what he's talking about. So
there you go.
Anyway, hey, do you have a website or a book or anything that these people can go buy today because they need to?
Yeah, no, nothing to buy yet. The website is askdrbrown.com, and we've just it's under construction. And also my channel is also Ask Dr. Brown, and my YouTube channel. As you saw, I've just started over the last week or so to start producing some videos. So we're going to get the channel really going soon. And I can have you come and talk.
Let me know anything I can do, anything we can do over here at the Real Estate Wholesalers Club. If you're following us over here, you need to follow him over there when he launches. So just put that in your mind that if you are following me, you will follow Dr. Terrence Brown.
There you go.
Anything I can do to ever help, Doctor, please don't hesitate to let me know. And go check out AskDrBrown.com and bookmark that thing, because he's going to start adding some great content there too, guys.
Great.
Yeah. All right.
Go out and have a profitable day.
All right, guys. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We'll talk again soon. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Go get some shut up money.
There you go.
All right. We'll see you in the VIP.
There you go.
All right. Bye-bye.